All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new update. And today I'm talking about a subject that I didn't ever think I would be doing a video about. But it is time to start exposing the corruption that is going on in Hollywood, and specifically with companies like Disney. Now, we will see in the future if Warner Brothers may be a part of this. I mean, Warner Brothers has their own issues with how they've treated their creatives in the past, but this is something on a whole different level. You can easily see now that Disney has conditioned people to hate traditional Star Wars fans. And when I say traditional, what I'm talking about are people that have been Star Wars fans their entire lives and grew up with the original trilogy, the prequels, and the Clone Wars, the stuff that were canon prior to Disney taking over. Disney does not like those fans. Disney does not want those fans. They want to go in a completely different direction. And Disney is all about identity politics. And what they're doing is they're conditioning their group, their fans, their Disney fans, and those who like the Disney Star Wars to attack Disney fans or non-Disney fans, the original Star Wars fans. And we can see this in spades online. In fact, this last week, after the 4th episode of The Acolyte, Star Wars Theory, who's the biggest Star Wars YouTuber in the world, he was showing how Wikipedia was changing things in real time after the show to match what Disney was doing to break canon. And then Wikipedia came out and started making accusations about Star Wars Theory, saying that he was sending people to their site to attack them, which never happened. And then those people who back Wikipedia and Disney started making death threats against Star Wars Theory. Like, literally, they wanted to have popcorn and sit there in Times Square and watch him get basically executed. And it's some crazy stuff going on within the fandom. And this is where we're at this stage. And Disney has manufactured this, and they want this to happen. Okay? It's what Disney has been clamoring for a long time. They want to push all of the original fans out completely. And what we've seen is they have set it up. They have basically set you up to be racist, a bigot, a fascist, whatever ist you want to call it. It's the way they've made it, they've manufactured it to be this way, when we're none of those things. Even though I'm a white male, it has nothing to do with my like or dislike of media. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, one of my favorite movies of all time, Point Break, was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who is a female director. One of my favorite movies from the 80s, Real Genius, was directed by Martha Coolidge. I love Black Panther, who stars a black male lead, along with pretty much an exclusive black cast. These things do not affect my view of a movie or a TV show. But things have been going on within Disney that show that they hate white people, and they don't even want to hire white people to do anything within the company anymore. And you can actually see this with this undercover O'Keefe Media Group did a video last week. It's going to be a 3-part series on how they are not hiring white people within Disney. In fact, I'm going to show you something very interesting. Let me share this photo here. So you can see here, this is an actual chart that was from the actual Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you cannot deny this. This is from Bloomberg, okay? And this is actually happening. This is real. This is not something I am making up. It's not something that people are making up. It's actually happening, and it's something we have suspected for a while now. Corporate America pledged to hire more people of color. It actually did. The year after Black Lives Matter protests, the S&P 100 added more than 300,000 jobs. 94% went to people of color. So over this time, 6% of hires have been white. 94% have been people of color. People are getting hired based on the color of their skin and their sexuality, not their skills. And we're seeing this happening all over the place, and this is what DEI is set to do. It is set to put people into positions that shouldn't be in those positions, and this is exactly what Disney is doing. And we have to talk about this. So going back to the beginning when we had, what's-her-face, I'm forgetting her name right off the top of my head here, when she took over Disney, or took over Star Wars for Disney, Kathleen Kennedy here, she came out and said the Force is female, and she has proved that over and over again with their shows. Everything has been female-centric, and Disney itself is pretty much female-centric. They don't like white guys. They don't like white male heroes. Look what they did to Han Solo in The Force Awakens. Look what they did to Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. They're basically taking our heroes and they are dragging them through the mud. You can see this in this post right here. This person, Hector Navarro, said, I need Lucasfilm to understand not everyone grows up to be a miserable old man with a failed personal life. Please find other conflicts for our beloved characters. As a massive Star Wars fan, when I came back, first of all, they robbed us from seeing Luke, Leia, and Han back together on screen together. That was a huge missed opportunity. And look what they did to the two white male heroes. And, you know, growing up, I wanted to see Luke Skywalker in his prime. And there was such this sense of hope at the end of Force Awakens when Rey shows up and hands him the lightsaber. And then he goofingly tosses it away in Episode 8, which was ridiculous. And as soon as that happened, I knew that movie was going to be a pile of garbage, and it was. And what happens is Disney, what they're doing is they're putting in people, females and people of color, into these roles in these movies that shouldn't be in there. And we can see this, and what they've done is they preconditioned you to hate these people when people talk out against it. Like Amanda Stenberg said, you know, with her music video that she put out last week. Because of the backlash of the acolytes, she's calling it racism, and she rage works against right-wingers in music video. First of all, it has nothing to do with being right-wing or left-wing. This has to do with what is actually happening in society. And Disney has preconditioned people that if any type of criticism comes out to them, we're going to call it racism, bigotry, and misogyny, when it's actually none of those things. I don't care if a female is a star in a movie. One of my favorite films of all time is also Alien, one of my top 10 films of all time. That starred Ellen Ripley. And Ripley, I think, was played by a female. That can't be right, can it? No, that can't be right. But it's true. Most moviegoers do not have a problem with female leads. Most people do not have a problem with characters of color. But what they're doing is they're putting them into roles so that when you speak out against it, they can instantly cry racism, bigotry, and misogyny. This is part of it right here. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has said women in Star Wars, such as the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland, struggle due to a male-dominated fan base. Now, this statement alone tells you all kinds of different things. First of all, one of the reasons that Hollywood is struggling today is they're not catering to their fan base. And it is a fact that Star Wars has way more male fans than it does female fans. It's just a fact. And that doesn't mean there aren't female fans, because there are plenty of those, but it is definitely male-dominated. And Kathleen Kennedy knows this. So by making comments like this, she could say any criticism against Leslie Headland is now misogyny. That's how they operate. It's how they do this, so that any criticism you make against this is because of those isms. It's how Disney wants it so that you don't have a leg to stand on. And I, for one, am not going to take this anymore. I'm going to speak out against it because it's the only way it's going to end. These games are no longer going to work with the fan base. People are going to speak out and continue to speak out against it. You want to know why the sequel trilogy by Disney sucked? Because the story was terrible. You had, they came out, and if you remember when episode 8 came out, and they had the girl Tram, I forget her name in the movie. It's my least favorite Star Wars film, so I don't even watch the movie. I can't remember her name, but I can clearly see her. But she was in the film along with Finn, who was a black male lead in 7, and nobody had an issue with that. In Part 8, they put them on a side mission and made them goofy as all get out, like they didn't know what to do with them. And then when there was backlash against the story, instantly, you're a misogynist, you're a bigot, you're a racist. I remember those conversations coming out because of it. But the fact is, the story sucked, and you put those characters in a position that made them irrelevant to the story. You come on to the Obi-Wan show, which was supposed to be Obi-Wan driven. And before the show ever came out, they said any criticism that comes out against Reva, the girl playing Reva, we're not going to take it. It's racist. It's misogyny. It's bigotry. They came out and made statements before the show even got released because they knew. They went into the whole writer's room and said, how can we take the focus off Obi-Wan in his own show? Let's stick this woman in there, Reva, and we're going to make her black, and we're going to stick her in there as well, so that if anybody speaks out against this, we're going to call them racist, bigots, and misogynists. You take Reva out of that show, and it changes nothing. I'm just thankful for the Kai Patterson cut of that show, because they did that specifically to take the focus away from Obi-Wan. We see this with that undercover video, and I encourage everybody to go to X and watch that undercover video. It is very eye-opening from the vice president, the senior vice president of Walt Disney, of the Disney company there in California. And he talks about everything that's going on with the company. Undercover. It's the craziest thing. There needs to be an investigation because there's definitely civil rights being trampled on, and there's some illegal activity going on within that company. And you have Leslie Headland, the showrunner of The Acolyte, and show me her resume that says she was the person that should have been in charge of this show. There's nothing that says she should have been in charge of this show, but they take this woman who is gay and they stick her into this position so that if you say anything, you're a bigot, you're a misogynist, you're a racist. They want to continually call you those things when she just flat out sucks and should have never been in charge of writing this stuff. They're putting people in positions based on the color of their skin, based on their gender, and based on their color, based off of their sexual identity. And what's crazy about this is there was this whole article the other day with Leslie Headland talking about the whole gay aspect of The Acolyte. She said there is no gay aspect to this. But then she goes on to talk about the things she's proud of that she put in the show that are part of the LGBTQ community. But she said it wasn't driven by that. Come on. We've seen the interviews with her laughing about this, both her and Stenberg talking about how gay Star Wars is and everything else. Those clips are out there. You can see them. So what Disney has done is they have gone and they've created all these projects knowing they're going to piss off the fans, knowing that the stories suck. And I'm sorry, The Acolyte is terrible. If they had never said who Leslie Headland was or even revealed her sexual identity or who she was, it does not change the show. It doesn't change the fact that this story is utter garbage. Utter freaking garbage. And it's crazy that they continually say that these fans don't like females, they don't like that they're racist, they're ists, right? When, man, in the Clone Wars, you had Snips. Everybody was looking forward to Ahsoka. And for the most part, the second half of Ahsoka was really good. I still hated the very last thing. And this is one of those things where I'm telling you, they craft these stories in a way that the women are way more powerful than the men. We see it with the witches who created both Osha and May in The Acolyte. We saw it at the end of Ahsoka when what's her name was able to push Ezra like half a mile through the sky when just 2 episodes earlier she couldn't even move a cup. It's like they have to make the females better than the men. They have to drag the men down to make the females better. It is actually happening. And those aren't even the things that make us upset. It's the breaking of the lore, like with Ki-Adi-Mundi in the last episode of The Acolyte, with the witches being able to create life when Anakin was supposed to be this prophesied for him to bring balance to the Force. What they're doing is they're going in and crafting these stories that they know are going to piss off the fans, and as soon as they speak out, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, and it's time for it to end. All right, guys, so what do you think about this topic? What do you think about this undercover stuff that's going on with Disney? There needs to be an investigation. Like, there's some crap going on that if they continue to go down this path and they're going to continue to do it, it's going to ruin these franchises forever. And when you know that your fan base is mostly male, you need to cater to that. And I'm going to be talking about this in a video. I still want to do this video, and I haven't had the time to sit down and do it. But when you don't cater to your audience, you fail. We look at two of the biggest hits have been in Hollywood for the last couple of years. Number one was Top Gun 2. They catered to their audience. They knew who their audience was, and they catered to it. There was no political message. There was nothing in that there was no agenda being driven. And then you had Barbie. Barbie was a massive hit, especially for Warner Brothers. Big surprise, because they catered to their fan base, which were women. When you cater to your fan base, you make money. And catering to the fan base has nothing to do with the color of anyone's skin. It has nothing to do with their sexual identity. And it has everything to do with the stories that you are telling. Tell better stories. All right, guys, what do you think of the video? If you liked it, please give give a thumbs up. I do appreciate all of the support, and we will see you in the next video.